First fighter, bro. I don't think she's gonna fight you, bro.
Yeah, fight you.
Why would she fight me?
I don't know why. She's not gonna fight me because then there'd be no show. I mean, if she fought you, there'd be no show either. Let's be honest.
I mean, I can just keep it rolling. I'm just unconscious on the floor.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let's roll the dice. Let's poke the bear.
Nah, dude. I'm not fighting her. You should fight her.
Well, what do you mean?
Fight her, bro.
I think you're our best candidate.
Nah, no.
You got fake glasses on.
These are real.
Blue light
I'm
glasses.
blind as shit, bro. What do you mean? You got a fake shirt on. Fight her.
Fake shirt on, dude.
Yeah, that's a not. Those shits are so hot. You got fake ones of it. They sold out, so you had to get fake ones.
Yeah, this is the bootleg version of my own shit because we sold out so hard. That's not likely.
Nah, bro.
Should we start it right when she walks in? Be like, welcome to the show.
Yeah, right. Sit down.
Yeah, man.
Get poppers. What the fuck is this?
Like Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, it's my boy Ashton. I don't know if you know him. Yo, I think that's you, dude. Dude, confetti pop. Oh, he's like, hey. All right, so I know you guys are gonna enjoy this episode. So share it with a friend, subscribe. You know the deal. We don't, charge for the show or do any of that whole bunch of sponsorship stuff other than Gilmar and hit, in the beginning of the show. So
Yeah.
without further ado, we have Bad Mama, Jamie Colleen, MMA fighter and life coach. So thank you for coming. I would bump fists, tap and bump fists, but you might throw me in a headlock. So
I was just afraid I'd knock over the microphone or I destroyed something.
Engages.
Yeah. Get something in her stand. She's like, oh.
I have no chill.
Yeah, you gotta
like
watch
all or nothing.
Yeah, she came in. I didn't look her in the eyes. I was like,
Yeah, none of us did.
Yeah, so we're really pumped. You're our first fighter that we've had
Really?
on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've
No
had
way,
we've had a
that's-
few people that like do jujitsu, but nobody that's like,
so cool.
Jude,
I feel
like-
so honored.
yes.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
shout out to
Thanks for
people that like
having
getting
me.
punched in the face.
Yeah.
So where, like, I don't even know where do we start. How many
don't
fights have
know.
you had in MMA?
So I've had 8 fights. I'm 5-3.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 and 3. Have
5
you been
and
knocked
3.
out?
I've
Or like,
never been knocked out cold, but I've been like TK'd, just like a ref stoppage. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of them.
Yeah. That's rough.
No fun.
Where, yeah.
Good thing the ref was there.
I'm going to get it right out of the way. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
have you been knocked out? Boom, done.
Good thing the ref was there.
Yeah, shout out to referees that do their
Yeah.
jobs.
Yeah, shout outs.
So you're 5-3.
Yes.
So you're obviously on the upside of it, and you're coming out of like a little bit of a surgery here.
I am.
You were telling us.
Yeah. So I tore my ACL 3 weeks before my fight. This was back in March, and it was kind of a bummer, because it was kind of a big fight for me, and I was gaining a lot of momentum, and then, it's my second ACL surgery. So, when it initially happened, my knee was locked in place, and I didn't really understand why. So I'm calling my orthopedic, and I'm he saw me for like an emergency appointment, and he thought it was just a meniscus tear because they call it a bucket handle tear. So when the ligament tears, it gets caught in your knee joint, which causes it to be locked in place. So I was really hopeful because he was very optimistic, saying like, I've seen my athletes come back, in 3. He's like, we're cutting it close, but if it's just the meniscus tear, we can get you back. Like you can still compete. And so I was feeling really good about it. And then we got the MRI.
And it was full blown.
And I was fully torn. So it was ACL and meniscus.
Okay.
Tear. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
coming
kind of a
back
bummer, yeah.
March. Now we're in August.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel on it?
I feel great. I had some injections like similar to stem cells. So I had that done about a month and a half post-op, and I feel great. Like, took my body maybe 2 weeks to take to it, and I wasn't really sure. I think for some people it works, for some it doesn't, so it's kind of risky in that way. But yeah, it all my inflammation, pain, like everything was gone. So really, it just allowed me to focus on getting stronger and just really, you know, coming back as quickly as possible. I mean, I'm still, to be honest, I'm just married to PT right now and just really taking my time and allowing my body to heal, even though I feel great and I know I'm capable of doing more than what I'm doing now. But I just, that's been the hardest part, is like that mental battle with myself. And
well, it's like forever damage
yeah.
for right now gratification.
Yeah.
If you go back too hard.
And I'm just like, it's not worth it. But then I'm like, but I want to take on the world. I know I can. But then it's like, is it worth it?
So do you see yourself getting back in the ring eventually?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yeah, I'm sort of giving myself the full 8-month window that they gave me. But you know, if I'm ready before that, great. If I'm not, then I'll, you know, give myself that time I need. So, but I'm hoping, like in my mind, I'm like, all right, end of the year. But we'll see when we get there.
Maybe like a New Year's Eve thing or something. That'd be legit.
Great way to kick off the new year for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So what, I guess take us through leading up to that injury. You were like in a camp getting ready. Do you have to cut weight for the weight you fight at?
I do, yeah. So I fight at strawweight, 115, and I walk around like 130-ish.
Yeah.
Give or take a few.
Okay, she's okay with telling us what weight she fights at.
Yeah. So I usually have like a 6 to 8 week camp, and as soon as I know like the fight's locked in, I start my cut, because for myself, for me, it works when I just gradually lose the weight and I water load my entire camp. So I get 2 gallons down every single day for my entire camp, and then start cutting my water like as obviously the fight gets closer. And yeah, it's just, there's a science to it for sure, and everybody's different, but that seems to be what works for me.
Yeah, so you find that like uploading your hydration leading up to the fight, when you heavily decrease your hydration, your muscles respond nicer to it.
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But like with cutting, what people don't realize is like everybody's different. There is no like one size fits all.
Yeah.
And every fight's different too.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I learned, because it makes me so happy. Obviously, the less I suffer, the better. But for me, the goal is to be able to still eat a wholesome meal for dinner the night before weigh-ins. And that's sort of like a tradition with like my coach, Daniel Gracie, and I, like, we'll go to like wherever we are, like wherever we're fighting, like we'll go to a restaurant and, like if we're out of town, and he's like, oh yeah, you can have some salmon and vegetables. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. So like she kind of like chooses what I can eat, and it makes it, just the fact that I can eat, it makes me so happy. Yeah. So I'm like, it's more motivation to stay on track so that you can like still eat and still make weight. So
yeah, because I would imagine leading up to the fight, especially the night before, if you can't actually even eat anything, like that's not really going to leave you set up for a successful time if the individual you're fighting against is eating.
Oh, totally. And then, I mean, the day of weigh-ins, like, really sucks, because then you're cutting all of your water, and at that point, you can't eat anything, but it's nice to, like, have that energy source from the night before. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you fast at all, like, throughout the year, or, like, through your cut at all? Like, or is it just, like, you maintain, like, a
I just maintain, like, my, I eat, I just try to keep everything as clean as possible. Obviously, the closer the fight gets, I start cutting my calories, but I'm still, like, eating the same stuff. It's just smaller portions, and I find that that's really important. I think fasting and doing, like, anything other than fueling your body and nurturing your body is just like setting yourself up to just suffer, and it's horrible. And it's a lot of discipline, but
that's
how
I feel about fasting. It's like, I hear your science behind that, but I'm gonna eat this.
Yeah.
So what led you to get into MMA? Was it like a martial art? You had like a background in martial arts, or like were you into boxing, or were you just like getting fights in the streets? Like, what was going on?
definitely no fighting in the streets. I just grew up as an athlete. I was a competitive gymnast for many years, and just sports all through school. And then after high school, I didn't really have like any sort of a plan or like any, thing to do with college. And so I was just always staying active and wasn't really sure what avenue to take, and then ended up going to my friend's kickboxing class for support. And I really, honestly, wasn't really excited to go. I just was like, okay, like I'll go to your class. And I just fell in love with it instantly and just never stopped training after that day, and just saw this, I don't know, fell in love with it and had this passion for it and trained every day. And at that time, so this was back in 2006-ish, somewhere around there. And so there really wasn't, you didn't, like women's MMA, women and fighting in general, other than you might maybe see in boxing or, on the kickboxing circuit, but nothing really mainstream at that time. So I didn't really care. I was just like, I found this and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to take it as far as I'm able to take it. And I just kind of went with it. My family was not happy in the beginning, especially my mom, which, as a mother now, I totally get it. But they just thought I was crazy. And at that time we were living in South Carolina. I'm from West Virginia. And so they were like, my mom and brother wanted to open a business in Ohio. So they're like, thought I was coming with them? And I'm like, no, I'm staying here. They're like, well, where are you going to live? What are you going to do? And I live in the gym. And that's what I did. I lived in the gym. I taught classes and I cleaned and like to pay my dues. And yeah, I just was married to martial arts. And I felt like too, it's just sort of like living that lifestyle just felt like that was the way. Like that was how you're supposed to do it.
You just do it through that path. Yeah. Like that's the harder, like fought path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. It was. Yeah.
So you started in kickboxing originally.
Yeah, kickboxing, and then I did like a couple boxing tournaments, and then transitioned to MMA once I did finally move to Ohio to be closer to family.
So you did finally.
I did finally leave. Yes.
There's a little bit going on in Ohio though. I feel like there's probably like an MMA gym or something out there.
There's a lot of MMA in the Midwest.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I bet.
There's really nothing else to do.
So you went from like a kickboxing gym to like an MMA, like all around gym that had like ground, stand up, everything like that.
Yeah.
And that's when you found jiu-jitsu.
Yes, but I'd never put a gi on at that time. It was just more of like wrestling and grappling and
for fighting.
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu for fighting.
To be honest, I was just always in survival mode. I don't think I really, other than just having like basic body awareness, I don't really think I knew what I was doing until I made the move to Philly and, started training under Daniel. But yeah, it was just, I guess, grappling and wrestling for MMA. So
yeah. No. So how long have you been in Philly then?
I've been in Philly for 12 years now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So actually quite a bit of time.
Yes.
So how long have you started training with Daniel, like right when you came to Philly, or?
No, I was just trying to, I was actually pregnant, so with my daughter, so I wasn't really doing a lot of training, like martial arts training.
Pregnancy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's hardcore. Like you see those girls like squatting pregnant and stuff, but you don't. I've never seen anybody on the mats pregnant.
You get choked out by a pregnant lady.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean that would be exhilarating because like depending upon how pregnant she is, if she puts you in like a body triangle or something, she could literally wreck your spine up, dude.
Yeah.
Totally.
If you have a cup on. Like, I slapped a kid one time for having a cup on because, like, he knew he had a cup on and he would, like, do stuff extra. And I just turned around and I was just like, and he was a higher belt than me, but, like, I could definitely fight and he couldn't. So I was just like, listen here, buddy. What's up? I just give him a little. Yeah. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
That's the worst when guys do that. I hate it.
Yeah, it's like, come on. They use their cup as like, it's like imagine your kneecap, but in your crotch. So they just like wrap them up and like wherever they're positioned, they just like, or knee bars are the worst with that, like, because they can't feel how much pressure they're applying. So they could ruin your leg.
Yeah.
And you're training with them. You're like, listen, buddy, thought we were friends.
I'm good.
Yeah.
So what belt are you right now?
I recently got my brown belt. I got my brown belt back in actually right before my
Congrats.
knee.
Oh,
injury.
damn.
Yeah.
Dude, we should have Silas versus Jamie.
Oh, Silas for Jamie.
Silas versus Jamie. He's a little rusty, but he is a brown belt. And he's thick right now.
Oh,
So
he's a thick boy, yeah.
yeah, he's jacked.
Yeah,
Shout out to Silas.
yeah, shout out
You
Silas,
jacked.
man. You jacked.
I'd have to like choke him even if he was sleeping. I'm not sure I could get it on because he would just flex his neck if he woke up. That'd be it.
Yeah, it's over for us or for you.
I'm gonna need your help.
I know, so it's us, yeah. We're gonna get demolished. It's fine.
But so like how much more do you like the ground game more than stand up now, or do you always still have that sweet spot for kickboxing?
Oh yeah, I'll always have that sweet spot, but I really have fallen in love with jiu-jitsu. Like,
Well, especially that's why the reason I asked is because like if you're a brown belt, you're obviously about it.
yeah,
So
I'm definitely committed.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I've been with Daniel now for almost 7 years, and when I came to him and he's like, okay, you want to train and you want to fight? And I'm like, I want to fight. And he's like, well, you need to train gi twice a week. I'm like, God, okay. Like, that's like so out of my element. And the first time I put the gi on, I was so just like, I don't know. It just felt so, I didn't want it. I was like,
feel restricted.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? And then as soon as I started moving and understanding like grips and like hand placement and things like that, it, definitely like changed my mind about it. And then, like get your mind working. Obviously, your body's working. I don't know. I love everything about jiu-jitsu. And I've really learned, I really didn't learn this until maybe toward like the end of my purple belt, my time as a purple belt. But I just, I don't know. There's just like a whole different level of body awareness that sort of like switches on once you start getting into like, the brown and then obviously black. But I just feel like I have a new set of eyes now that I'm a brown belt.
Yeah, I trained with this dude from Texas that was a black belt, and when he was a black belt, I think he was like 24 or 25, and he'd been training obviously for
Forever.
a very long time.
Yeah.
And it was Thanksgiving, and I watched this dude move around on me on camera after the fact, and he was like a spider.
Yeah.
Around me, like the way he just like maneuvered on me in this way moved, he just like rolled his body around me, and he also had a torn ACL at the time.
Crazy.
So like I was like, holy God, like it was kind of like in The Grudge or like those movies where like the creepy thing moves real weird.
Yeah, in the
when you
ring.
watched it back on camera, you were like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Damn.
His like awareness and like how he just like
Yeah,
rolled
it's
around.
so
I was like,
different.
"Ugh."
Yeah, it's so
I was
different.
like, dude, I was so vulnerable.
There we
I
go.
was swimming with sharks.
He's from the sharks.
That's how you feel after the fact. And then when you're like walking around in the street and you realize that dude looks like not really anybody,
Uh-huh.
you're like, oh my God, that dude could probably choke me. This dude might be able to choke me.
It's so
Yeah.
funny. We laugh about that all the time because, sometimes we're so used to seeing each other in our, in that environment. And then you leave and it's like you see, like, I'll see like one of our jiu-jitsu guys in like their normal street clothes. I'm just like, this is no way this is the same guy. Like, no way.
Yes.
It's just like,
A
are
lot
you
of people
kidding me?
ask me about that. Do you know who Michael Musumeci is? He's like an IBJ or JJF like 4-time champ. Like he's
I'm sure maybe
champion
I
a bunch
saw
of different
him.
weight classes right now, I think. And we trained with him like a few weekends ago, and he is just like this unassuming, nice little character. He's the nicest guy ever. And he just, when you meet him, you're like, you would have no idea that this 135-pound little man could just destroy you
Yeah.
He's a killer.
wherever you want. He's just taking ankles out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he
Oh my
really
God.
humbles you. And I think a lot of people could, but how old's your daughter?
She's 11.
Does she train?
She used to.
Used to. I think did you see any benefit from that? Because I don't have kids, but I would definitely make my kids train
Oh,
or
yeah.
expose them to it at least.
Oh, totally. And that was one thing I was really hoping. So I didn't want to force like what I do onto her just because I do it. But I mean, obviously there's jiu-jitsu is such an amazing sport, and it's, you know, it just, I really wanted her to get involved with it. So it made me happy when she actually came to me and said, I'd like a pink gi. I want to try jiu-jitsu. She was only 5, and I was like, yes, so happy. Yes. And then she was, you know, hitting pads. Like she was like boxing, doing jiu-jitsu, but then she just realized she wanted to try other things. And so she, you know, jumped into gymnastics. She did swimming. What else did she do? She's played soccer, but now she's really found her passion in theater, of all things, and performing arts.
Oh.
So she's going to a performing arts school this year. As athletic and amazing as she is, but I'm sure she can somehow incorporate like her athleticism in her like performing. So
it's kind of one and the same when you get to a certain level.
Yeah,
you know, when you start getting paid to fight, you're kind of expected. Even if you lose, you're still expected to like perform at a certain level. So like I could, you know.
Maybe she be a stuntman someday in Hollywood.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Dang.
That'd be cool.
So sweet. Yeah,
Sick.
but yeah, to answer your question, she's she definitely remembers a lot of what she learned, which is really all I could ask for. And I mean, obviously, it's a major confidence booster, and she's very much like just has a great awareness about her. So
No, that's awesome. I mean, she'll always come back. Jiu-jitsu is such like an uncomfortable sport that you definitely, when you're an adult and you want to go really bad and you go through those like rough periods of like, I'm not like having fun right now in this sport.
Yeah.
As a kid, like I'm sure that's only amplified because I did like karate and boxing and all that stuff. And there was times where I was just like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. And your parents are like, you're going. We paid for it. Yeah. You're going. This is all you
Don't know
got.
what to tell you.
This is all you got. You're going. But so like talk to us like about you're doing like life coaching and stuff like that now. Is that like, how long have you been doing that?
So I probably should update my profile. I mean, I still, you know, do some work with that, but I'm involved in a lot of different things, you know, the life coaching being one of them. And it's just more of like, I take more of like an accountability approach and helping people just to navigate through hard things, whatever they might be going through, and just helping them to apply, you know, tools that can make their lives, you know, easier. So I am partnered with Women Against Abuse, which is a nonprofit in Philly, and so I work a lot with, I do like a lot of advocacy work for them. I do a lot of speaking engagements as well. I also come in when we train new staff, advocates, and volunteers, and other staff members. I help with that, you know, getting them certified, different things like that. So I sort of like come in at the end, and we do, we just talk about all the things that they have learned and crammed into a short, you know, 45-hour training, and I'm sort of like the last leg of that. So, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. It's sort of a full circle type thing for me, because I was a former client of theirs. They helped me get through a really hard situation I was in, my daughter and I. And so I just knew at some point I wanted to come back and help, and, you know, so that somebody else doesn't have to go through what I went through. But from that, it just, you know, really opened up a lot of other opportunities and doors for me through that. So, but on top of that, I do just, you know, I do some like private lessons, like one-on-one for like boxing or jiu-jitsu.
Oh, so people can hire you for privates?
Yeah.
Oh.
Here I
We
am.
might have to get some footage here.
Yeah, wheels are
Me
turning.
just getting slammed apart.
Yeah. I think I'm really
Are you
messing this up.
Are you drooping over
I
here?
am.
Here, let me tell
But
you.
I'm not sad, I promise.
It's always that one.
These stands. I like that. I like these stands better.
Yeah.
But when we moved into this room, we lacked stuff to bolt to. Or we
Yeah.
tried to do this thing over here, but we're pretty sure once we started adding stuff to this shelf,
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna cave.
this thing is one mic drop away.
Yeah. It's gonna cave.
Involuntary mic drop via shelf fall. Yeah, we got grenades and stuff
Yeah,
over here, but
yeah.
no microphone stand.
Yeah.
But
Grenades over microphones.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah.
That must be really like rewarding for you to give back in that level or capacity.
Absolutely. It means a lot to be able to do that kind of work, just given, you know, the circumstances and what I had to go through to get to this point. So yeah, it really means a lot. And through that, I've started. It's not a nonprofit yet, but hopefully will be.
You gotta
sooner than
speak
later.
it into existence.
I know.
Just start telling people it exists.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it does. But so I started a foundation. It's a safety initiative in Philly for it's women and children focused, but I also believe that you know, it's for self-defense. But I feel like self-defense should be taught, you know, on both sides. Like, I think it's for everybody. So, but I focus on the women and children. And it's, while I do teach like the physical side of it, I focus mostly on the non, you know, contact side of self-defense. So it's all about awareness, like learning how to set boundaries, threat recognition, you know, self-care, and just, you know, all the things that I think people don't really realize that can help them. I think that getting in a physical altercation should be a last resort. Mm-hmm. So if you can, you know, avoid that, then let's avoid it.
Do you find that like the people that you're working with lack like the fundamentals of like those like setting boundaries or like developing good relationships on the onset, which ultimately lead to those like more
absolutely.
like traumatic experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people just unfortunately don't really think about that. They just, you know, when you think self-defense or think like once you're in a situation that could have been prevented by, you know, having that awareness or understanding boundaries, that it's like, I feel like this whole gray area that, you know, needs to be, you know, brought to light, because it's so important, and to really, you know, it really helps your confidence level as well, and helps you to become more self-aware. And, you know, and sometimes people make decisions based on their self-worth. And so I think it's important. That's why I incorporate, you know, the self-love and building yourself up and feeling empowered and feeling confident enough to carry out, you know, God forbid you're in a physical altercation. Like you know.
Having the confidence to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts to this, but I think that there is a need for it, especially in Philly, and especially now. It's, you know, the city's a mess. So there's a lot of...
That's definitely not something that I think a lot of people ever discuss. Yeah. Like, usually, like, the conversations are around, like, taking guns away or, like, police or things like that. Like, it doesn't really start at, like, the most basic level, which is, like, the people that make up, like, the area that's affected.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a pretty big undertaking. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? And you know,
that's impressive that like you're willing to like
totally,
at least start that yourself.
Yeah, and it's baby steps, and I get it. And honestly, a lot of it is learning as I go, and you know, finding mentors and like anybody that can be beneficial and help me like through this process. But I'm open to it. I'm here for it, and you know, I'm just so happy to be able to be in a position where I can help and to pass this knowledge along that, you know, my coaches and what I've learned. So, no, I've, you know, like I said, it's baby steps. I've, you know, made some, like community partners already. I've done different resource fairs, and I've been able to connect with the community on, you know, on a smaller level, which, you know, it will grow. I see it.
And you're staying in like the city, like the main part of the city, not like.
Yeah.
I mean, Philadelphia is a large area, but like you're sticking closer to like center city.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Small, take on like the central area and move out.
Yeah.
Here's Rambo just knocking cameras over again.
Yes.
That's so. What's your in relation to that? Like, what's your like next set of like big obstacles like with getting that going? Just like raising awareness or getting money or getting.
Yeah.
getting help?
A little bit of everything, to be honest.
Yeah.
But honestly, I have a lot of great people in my life, a lot of very, knowledgeable and people who were, sort of waiting for me to get a few things ironed out, and then, who can then take me to that next level and, get the wheels rolling. So
that's awesome.
I'm really excited. Yeah. And it's called the Power Foundation. So it's POW and then HER. So Power. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What's that for?
You know what? I don't know. My daughter actually helped me pick the name.
Okay.
And I wanted it to be sort of, obviously I want to empower people and people to feel, to reclaim their power and to, I don't know. I never really
had to answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just Power Fund. I mean, it's a great name.
It makes sense. It is a great name. That's why I was like, what? Whatever.
Yeah, you know what?
It's a good name. You don't have to explain it. Just be like, it's a good name.
Don't worry about it.
Story's over. It's a secret.
But yeah, my daughter, she helped me brainstorm. She's like, I got it. Power Foundation. I'm like, oh, you're good.
You're good.
Man. Yeah.
That's awesome though.
Stuck.
I mean, it must be cool for her to have a role model, Not everybody has a mom who is a jiu-jitsu brown belt.
Yeah.
Fights in a cage.
Yeah.
And is helping people at the same time. That's all very
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for saying that. Yeah. No,
I had high hopes for this show. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, we're having a fighter on.
Yeah.
And I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm very impressed. That's very cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
What are your how do you see that kind of first helping people, starting with just seminars or things like that, or speaking things, or
yeah, seminars. I mean, I already do a ton of speaking engagements, and actually pre-COVID, I was doing a lot of in person. I actually was a survivor feature for Women Against Abuse. It's called their I Pledge campaign. They have it. It's the largest press conference of the year. I do many other things in regards to that, but I work a lot too with senators and legislators. So I travel a lot, pre-COVID, to Harrisburg with Women Against Abuse, and I share my story and just really being the face of their program and how successful people can come out of it only if they, utilize and take the steps necessary to complete their program. So that was always pretty amazing. But yeah, like I said, I do a lot of, I would like to continue on, getting in front of people. I think it's really impactful to share my story and to speak on domestic violence and the things that I've gone through, because, a lot of people feel alone in that. And I like to just, if I can give hope or, inspire somebody, then I'm here for it. I'm happy. So yeah, a lot of it will still be, focused on that, sharing my story, and using my foundation as yet another platform to do that. And then, obviously seminars, teaching in person. Actually, recently taught a seminar at a resource fair. I think it was back in June with the Philadelphia Children's Alliance. They're actually one of my community partners. And so for Child Abuse Awareness Month, we did, I think it was Anti-Gun Violence Month in June. Yes, sorry. But I believe the previous month was Child Abuse Awareness. And so anyway, we did a big thing, and the Philadelphia police were there, and so many kids. And we did I did a live seminar, and held pads for the kids. We did some boxing, showed them some jiu-jitsu. We had so much fun. So yeah, I think that's the beginning of it for me is just making just making the connection with community partners and getting involved in events and sort of just going from there. I mean, I made so many amazing connections and met so many great people, just at the couple of resource fairs that I have done. And there's a lot of need for, especially with the police department, they, there's definitely a need for it, especially for victims of crime. I feel like there's definitely a need for, because, I find just even from my own experience, and I know how it works. When you're a victim of crime in the city of Philadelphia, they just give you a piece of paper with resources on it. There's no
outreach.
Exactly. So I hope to, get more involved in that as well. So.
No, that's awesome. When you, going back to like your seminar and you were teaching the kids, like, what did you find they wanted to know the most? Because kids always are like have these weird requests.
They do, but to be honest, they didn't really. They were just really open to, like, I showed like 3 different techniques, and I mean, there was actually one kid.
There's always
that one kid. Good question.
There's always that one. And he was actually the person I demoed on because he had martial arts experience, and he had a lot of other ways to show me how to do what I was teaching. And I gave him that. You know what I mean? All right, show me what you got. And then, if I would correct him if it needed to be corrected. But it was good. I think mostly the kids just loved hitting the pads. They love learning how to box and, throwing combinations. And it was a lot of fun. I love the kids. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Choke a kid out on stage.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
And the police are right there. I'm like, is this allowed? Can I
Be
do
like,
it?
all right, young Billy's asleep now.
It's fine. It's all
That's
part
what
of
you
it.
get. That's what you get when you talk back to mom. Okay.
Yeah, right.
I taught your mom this yesterday. Shh.
It was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you what's your week like, and like how do you break that up? Is it like spent a lot of time training, doing like athletic type stuff, or is it like a lot of that like helping people, I guess?
It's a lot of both. So I'm not, like I said, I'm married to PT right now, so I'm focused mostly on that, and I've eased myself back into jiu-jitsu. I might do like jiu-jitsu once a week and then striking once or twice a week. And then obviously as I get stronger and get the green light to do more, then, I will. But, and then just like in between that, I just, try to work on, the foundation and reaching out. So I don't know. When I start to explain it to people, I realize I do a lot of shit, and I don't know how I manage it. I think I just sort of take it as it comes, and I just find balance in it all, and it works. So I'm not going to question it too much, but I'm also part of like a lot of support groups, and I mentor some of the people from those support groups. And so I do like my weekly check-ins with people, and, whatever, like, if I have something going on with women against abuse, like, I don't know, I have to shift and
Jamie
manage
on tour.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
But
That's
it's a
what
lot.
it sounds like. I'm like, how do you do all this stuff? It's just like, I'm just moving stuff around.
I'm like,
Makes me feel like I
Talk
don't
to
do
my
enough.
people.
Yeah. For real.
my daughter, she's like my, I don't know, she's
It
like
calls you-
my manager.
she's like an assistant.
she's like
Like,
my
has like a
agent.
BlackBerry.
Yeah.
She has the
She
BlackBerry.
is. She's amazing. I have to like give her so much credit because she's just as excited about the foundation as I am. And she came with me to our first resource fair, and she just was on fire. She's all over the place. She like made these little booklets that had all of our literature in it, and booklets that we made, and she made one for each of the other community partners that were there. So as we walked around, that's what we do. We like walk around and introduce ourselves, but she thought to put these folders together with all of our information. And as we were introducing ourselves, like she would hand it to them and explain what was in the folders. And it was just like, this is amazing. And
It's
she's
like
like,
little
she wants to
CEO.
be, she wants to really be involved and be part of it, which I love so much. And she's such a great help on top of it all. Like she's like 11 going on 25. So
Kids are like that though.
it's like great sometimes, but also not great sometimes.
She's like holding you accountable.
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Whoa.
Mom, what the hell?
It's like, I wear the pants here.
Yeah, right.
It's like, do you?
Oh
God.
I have the BlackBerry.
I'm like, wait, do I? So
That's awesome.
But yeah, it's super super fun.
How did you guys like navigate the whole Corona year? Was she virtual? Like she obviously virtual
Yeah,
again.
it was tough. only because there wasn't, obviously, nobody planned for this to happen. So with this, like, her school was amazing, and they tried really hard to keep the kids engaged and keep everybody, like, the work flowing, which they did. It was like she knew what she had to do throughout the week and what she had to turn in, every Friday. But it was hard to not, have that social interaction or to see her teachers. It was really tough on her. And then on top of that, not being able to see her friends. I mean, we do.
It sounds like she's a very social person.
Yes, yes. And so, yeah, she definitely, that it hit her hard, and a lot of tears, And I'm really proud of her for being able to get through that and then to still come out with straight A's and, just keeping herself motivated, because I didn't know, she knew exactly what she needed to do, and she got it done, and I was just there to support her in any way I could. But that was also hard because, I'm trying to work and do my thing too. So that was another whole element with parents who had to work from home and, having the kids home. It was definitely rough. But yeah, I don't know, we made the best of it. I think we all did. So.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you, now going back to your, when you were fighting, how were you able to train, or were you kind of training at home?
At first I was training at home, and then started easing back in over the summer, so last summer, and still being very careful. I would go in and train for 2 days and then take 4 or 5 days off, and then go back and train for 2 days and whatever, and then, started adding, eventually I was training every single day, and that was our group. We were just, everybody trained with the same people the whole way through, and for the most part, we were all, okay. I think most of us probably, I don't know if you guys caught it or not. I mean, I had it.
I think I had it twice.
Yeah. I had it.
I might have had it.
What, it's
Yeah,
interesting
it's
because...
I was
Yeah.
dude, that's the sickest I ever got. And then a couple weeks later, I was like, wow, that was the sickest I ever got. I was one of those 2 times had to have been it.
It's so interesting with this because you would assume I got it from the gym because I'm with other people who are sweating on each other. I'm it has to be that. And I don't think I did. I think it must have been just a random other place maybe, because the gas station, I don't know, because I was I wanted to do it the right way, make sure my training partners knew hey, I'm having symptoms, and then ultimately tested positive. So I made sure I went back and told everybody who I had any sort of interactions with, and none of them had it and caught anything, thank God. So I'm just I was just the only one.
Did you get symptoms and everything like that?
Yeah, it was weird, really weird. Because some of the symptoms are things that are normal to me anyway. Because usually after a hard training session, I'll get headaches. It always happens to me.
Yeah.
I was having headaches. Didn't really think much of it, and I just thinking, did I really get hit that hard? I don't think I did. Anyway, so I go home. Felt fine. I was just doing my housework, just cleaning, and then realized I didn't smell the cleaner I was using.
Ooh.
I was wait a second. So then I go to the fridge and I'm start opening up all of the vinegars and pickles, anything that would be a strong scent to me, and I couldn't smell it. I'm shit. And then it quickly turned into not being able to taste anything. And then and then I went and got tested, and obviously I was positive, but the first 2 or 3 days were pretty bad. I had these really bad migraines and just felt sickly, but I wasn't. I didn't have anything bad respiratory or anything too crazy. It was just migraines, and I couldn't taste or smell, and that was the worst. I would rather have the migraines and not be able to taste and smell. Yeah. Pretty terrible.
Everybody had a different story.
Yeah, a lot of people I know, they said they couldn't taste or smell anything. They got depressed.
Worse.
For
and what? It never fully comes back.
Yeah,
because
that's what I heard.
When we go have a cheat, we'll go to Chick-fil-A or something, I like to have a Coke or Sprite with my food. And that's I look forward to that. But I didn't realize once like my first like meal I wanted was Chick-fil-A. So we go there and I'm like, did they change? I'm like, did Coke change the recipe? I'm like, this is disgusting. Like, it just no soda tastes the same to me. So I can't drink any soda now because it's just disgusting to me. I'm so upset. I don't drink a lot of it, but there's those times where you just like want a Coke or you just want like a ginger ale or something.
Yeah.
And it just
Maybe it's a good thing. We don't really need soda.
I
like
guess.
that.
But yeah.
Yeah,
But that
sometimes you just want some Coke.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Speak for yourself.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
What so like also like in relation to your fighting, like being like 5-3, you said you had a lot of momentum going into your last fight. Like what kind of momentum like are you talking here? Like were you thinking about like fighting like at a higher level? Were you looking
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I fought for Dana White Contender Series twice.
Okay.
1-1. And actually my first
Did you fight anybody we would know?
I fought
I have a list here. If you want me to read off the
Macy,
list.
you'd know Macy Barber.
Okay.
I lost to Macy my second fight there.
Was that decision or
TKO. I got doctor stoppage. She cut my nose open. Yeah, cut me open. It was a good one.
sometimes that happens? That's like the unfortunate side of the fighting
Yeah.
is the TKO. Like
Yeah.
sometimes there's stoppages that are just kind of like,
Yeah.
like because you put all that work in and you don't like.
I did.
You're there and the
you know what?
energy's there and it's like whatever. But after the fact, you're like, oh, I'm kind of glad that my
Yeah.
face is okay.
Yeah, and my first fight was with I'm drawing a blank. I don't know why. Did you say you have the names?
Yeah, for Contender Series.
Yeah.
Tiffany Masters.
Yeah, Tiffany. Tiffany. She's awesome. Yeah. So my first fight against her, and I was actually 6 months post-op from my first ACL.
Okay.
Damn.
Re-injured it in the first round.
Oh.
And could not stand. I could not explode. Like I just kept getting taken down at will. I just had nothing. I'm like, what the hell do I do?
What are you? You're right leg dominant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I just knew like the holes in her ground game and mistakes that she was making. So I ended up just using my jiu-jitsu and just capitalizing on her mistakes. And I ended up winning the fight I think there's like 20 seconds left in the third round and pulled it off. So it wasn't fully.
You got a submission.
It wasn't fully torn, but I definitely like retore my ACL, and then that set me back like another 5-6 months.
Damn.
Then they called me back for Contender, and that's when I fought Macy. But ever since that when I didn't do anything right, to be honest. I didn't do like anything correctly. I was just sort of like, oh, if I can stand, I can train. And I'm just setting myself back more and more, not allowing my body to heal.
And that's why you're taking it real serious this time around.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but after I re-injured it in that fight with Tiffany, it was just never the same. I didn't have another surgery at that time. I was just doing a little bit of PT maybe. But yeah, it was never the same after that. And then tweaked it in my camp this time and was trying to just be as careful as I could. And then, I think it was just hanging on.
So this would have been so you came off of two UFC Contender Series fights.
Yeah.
And then you were
Oh,
training
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting like way off course here. So yeah, I had the Contenders fight, and then I had one fight with CFFC. Well, 2 fights. So I was like 1-1 again. But I felt like that momentum for me that I was talking about was just more of like a mindset and just, I don't know. I was just feeling better than I'd ever felt, just physically and mentally. I think the mental aspect for me is just something I've always struggled with. And I always have like these mental blocks. I even hired a mindset coach for one of my camps, and it really helped me a lot. And I felt like I was just, the old me, which was, don't give a fuck, you turn the switch on, you fight, you go, you don't think about it. You fight and do what you love and have fun. And for me, like, I just sort of got into this weird pattern or like state where I just was always doubting myself and questioning myself. And
Is that because of coming off of a loss?
Maybe, but I don't know. It's just somehow I got this mental block and couldn't come out of it. And, connected with, his name is he goes by the English hypnotist.
The English hypnotist.
His name is Richard Hart. And it's funny because I'm a big believer in like the universe and like energies and like, signs and things happening for a reason and good timing. And so I didn't know where to begin in terms of like, okay, I was aware I had a mental block and I needed to like somehow come out of it, but I didn't want to put the time into finding somebody who was right for me to talk to or like spending money to like speak to a bunch of people. And so I'm like, I don't know, I was feeling just at such a loss. And then he just sent me like a random message one day. He was like, have you ever thought of hypnotism? And I'm like, what is this?
This is creepy son of a bitch.
It was definitely caught me off guard. And then, but at that time I was just like, who is this guy? So I clicked on his profile. I'm like, oh, like he's worked with a bunch of Bellator fighters. He was a former kickboxer himself, so he understands the fight game and he gets it. And I'm like, what do I really have to lose at this point? So it was just something in me told me to reply, and I did. And we clicked right away and hopped on a call, and I hired him for my upcoming camp. And it really just, not only was I able to come out of that mental block, but everything that I learned from him, I could apply to.
You carried it forward, the momentum.
Yeah, every aspect of my life, I benefit from that. So it's pretty amazing, and I still use a lot of those tools now. Like it stays with you, and I use it because it helps me, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to regress back into like a bad. Not that it was a bad mindset, but it certainly wasn't helpful.
It wasn't positive.
Yeah, and a lot of it too was that. It's just focusing, like shifting your mindset from, just using a lot of positive reinforcement with yourself and, trying to see the good in what you do, not always seeing the bad. Because, fighters and probably really anybody,
competitive people.
Yeah, we focus more on what we did wrong versus what we did right in practice. And then being aware of what mistakes we made and then knowing what we have to do to fix it, but not letting that be the focus of, like, the workout. Like, we first focus on everything that we've done right. And you journal throughout the whole process. And so each day that you journal, he critiques it. He will switch your words around so you can go back and read and be like, oh, I get it. And then over time, you start automatically, your mind goes into like that state.
Just thinking that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
There's a lot to be said about like momentum for a lot of things. And I'm a big believer in momentum. Like, I think people go on vacations in the middle of, like, huge things that they should just, like, cancel a vacation and keep going. Or they come off of diets and they work all that momentum up, and then they just immediately go, I accomplished the diet. Like, I'm just going to go do this cheat meal. Or, like, workout routines where they, like, get up all this effort and then they just like, well, I hit that goal, like I'm done. And that never made any sense to me. Yeah, because like really you're like a train, like a big like steam engine. And like if you ever watch like old timey videos where train starts, it's like they have so like that power is so great to get them even just slowly going. But once they get going, they just like plow through everything.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with people. And like when you see someone getting all that positive momentum, like especially with like dieting, you see people lose all that weight, and then like you see them like a year or two later, and it's like all back, and it's like, well, what happened? It's like you could pretty much all like it's like one decision was all brought the whole all that momentum and effort down.
Yeah.
So when you said the word like momentum, I was like, that's like an interesting word choice because it just struck me that like you obviously had some sort of like positive energy behind you leading up to that. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah. And I'll say I used a lot of that positive reinforcement. I mean, especially when it comes to like injuries and if it's something that forces you to stop what you're doing, especially when it's something you do every single day.
Like when you get sick and you're just like, can't do what you normally do.
It just I won't lie. I definitely had my days. I had my moments where, it really sucked. And I struggled a bit. But then, I because I have the tools now to not let myself, like, I won't stay there. Like, I'll, process whatever it is. Okay, like, today sucked, whatever. Okay, tomorrow's a new day. And you just keep moving forward. I find sometimes people who, like, I always say it's like my clients and people I work with, like, if you fall off, just get back on. Don't just start making more bad decisions to make matters worse. You just get back on.
And like you find that people like
forward.
make excuses. It's like, well, I made that one, like I had a donut.
Yeah.
So I might as well like, well what's like a double mocha latte right now? It's like, why not? Like, it's just like, and then next thing you know, it's like, why, I'll go to the gym tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that.
Mindset's so important. I think we should be training our minds a lot more. That's for sure. Because especially the fight game, it's more mental than physical for sure. So I think we need to be more proactive on our mindset game.
No, for sure. I think especially after, the Corona 2020, if, I mean, God forbid there is like another set of lockdowns or whatever, that kind of thing would be like, I think there's only going to be a growing need for people like you that have like that ability to kind of like coach and lift people up. Because there's probably more than ever than before. There's probably more forgotten people now than there were in 2019. Yeah. So like, I don't know. Yeah. I feel good that there's people, out there looking out for this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Right? It's so important.
It really is. I don't know. Yeah. That's just like rewarding on like a different level that like a lot of people don't probably understand.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
What so like you say you heal up and like you fight in like the spring or something like that. Like how long do you see yourself like competitively getting punched in the face? I'll say it. You could say fighting, but what it is like it's like
yes. You know what? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I've found myself, I'm just really happy, like, doing what I love. I don't want to say I've missed my window. Like, I'm still, like, very much on the UFC's radar. I'm still very much, capable of getting to that level. But I'm just so happy in, like, all the other areas of my life, too, that if I just decide that my next fight is my last fight, like, I'll be happy. But probably won't be, just because it's like I'm addicted to it. I love it. I love just the rush. I love everything about it. Just challenging myself and challenging my body. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but
is it weird that like somebody that likes to fight competitively is also helping people in such a level? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something to that. I don't know. It's like you're capable.
I'm one of the scariest one. One of the scary ones we were talking about, like in the gym versus like on the street. Like people just have no idea. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Like if you were just like on the subway and like somebody tried to like mug Gilmar and then like she just like throws a knee kick in and just chokes this dude out, Gilmar would be like, "Oh my God, thank you." She'd be like, "It's okay, child.
Yes. I would have never known.
I've got
and
you."
I disappear off into the shadows.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He just like drops a smoke grenade and just disappears.
Who was that magical woman?
Oh my God, who was that? It was Bad Mama.
Bad Mama.
Was that Bad Mama?
I see her on the UFC one day. Like, oh, that was a lady.
Yeah,
that was a lady. That was a lady that saved me.
I got her tattooed on my arm.
Yeah, on your neck. She saved your life.
Yeah, you're right.
On your arm. Let's give her some respect here. This is Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, right.
Give me the DM teardrop.
Oh yeah, teardrop. Safe from the mugging.
No, that's true. Where did Bad Mama come from? Was that always a thing, or was somebody just like, "You a Bad Mama"?
You know what? A good friend of mine, actually, this is when I used to be a server at Xfinity Live. I don't know. Do you know Xfinity Live?
I do know the place Xfinity Live.
Oh, yeah. So I was a server there for like 4 years, and
server/bouncer.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And
like, people give you a hard time. You're like, "Look, buddy."
Yeah.
Or give me that 20% tip, bro.
No idea. Yeah,
just shoot the leg in.
Oh no,
she's got me.
That's how I got more tips. I would challenge people to like,
arm wrestles.
Placing bets, yeah. No, I'm kidding. So anyway, yeah, my friend like came in for dinner one night, and he was talking like, listen, like if you're gonna build a brand, like, was my name on Instagram was like Jamie Colleen and like a bunch of numbers. He's like you need to change that shit. That's dumb. He's like, you need like a cool name. He's like Bad Mama, and then you just like spell it like MMA, you know, MA, like for Instagram, and I was like, yeah, and then it just kind of stuck. Like it worked. Like people dug it. I dig it. I think it's cool.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool too.
Yeah. And it's so funny. My daughter, it's weird when I hear people that, like when I'm on the street and they say, there's a lot of people like in my neighborhood that are like now getting to know me. And I mean,
if I see you out on the street ever, I'm yelling.
Yeah.
But I've heard like strangers say it before. My daughter, she'll say all the time, Mommy, you're just famous. You're like a celebrity. I'm like, I'm just not. Like, I'm not. But I just don't see myself really any different sometimes. Like it's weird. I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, I was walking her to school one morning and this guy was like standing in the middle of the block. He's like, Bad Mama? Bad Mama. You're Bad Mama. And I was just like going crazy. And I'm like, oh my God. And at this time, like the other parents, like I associate with like the parents, but most of our friends that we hang out with aren't like in her school.
Yeah.
So they know what I do. But like in a schoolyard, it's kind of weird. It's like they're talking about like their careers. I'm like,
there's Bad Mama over there.
I fight people for a living.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird. I don't know. And I'm not just really sure how, you know, welcoming I would be in the schoolyard after that. So anyway, he was like freaking out and like wanted a picture, but we were running late and he like couldn't like figure out his phone quick enough. And, but yeah, it was just, you know, the other parents were like looking on like, what the hell is a Bad Mama? Like,
Yeah,
what is that?
Have you seen Bad Mama?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions
God.
here.
Take that kid from her.
Yeah, exactly. Call the police. No, but I mean, it's happened on a couple of, you know, other occasions where just like complete strangers. I'm just like, oh, I guess people do recognize me. And it's kind of cool, but I also just, I don't know.
It's weird to think that there's other people watching you out there that like you have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
And then like when you come into contact with them, it's probably like there's like a barrier between you because it's like there's people that listen to our show that like all meet and they'll like we had people or I was in a pool of the gym I go to and we were hanging out outside and this dude was like this happened with a construction company. He was talking to us for a while. He's like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, we you know, we're builders. Like whatever, like we're just having a good time here, buddy. And then after a while, he's like, "Oh, well, what company do you work for?" I'm like, "Oh, I own a company with my buddy." And I like told him the name, and he's like, "Holy shit, I follow you guys on Instagram." And he was like, he followed me, he followed John, he followed like all the different companies, and I was like, and I'm like, here we are. It's like me and my wife.
Yeah,
and like I just felt
feel
like a little
exposed, right?
I felt a little
like,
vulnerable.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're watching my Instagram stories and shit. Like the next time you go to make one, you're kind of like thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're like, is so-and-so thinking? That or what happened weird for me was I started realizing like some of our customers' kids were following us on different things.
That's
and
cool.
I actually messaged the one customer. Do you remember when Ryan built that bicycle jam?
Yeah,
I messaged her. I like text her. And I was like, look, like I didn't notice this, but like, and I don't know how long he's been following, but like he follows like a different accounts and like we get pretty, you know, we're open with our language here and stuff. And like, I don't know how you feel about this. I can block him if you want. And she's like, oh no, he'll probably get a good education.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll learn something from
But
it.
I had to like stick and step back, and there's been a couple of times where I'm like,
Every time you just say something crazy, you think about
yeah,
that
I'm
kid.
like that young lad is
no,
listening to
little
me
Johnny.
right now.
Little Johnny with the bike.
I'm gonna say his name, and he probably listens to this too.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
He's getting ready to like kidnap me. He's like, when I'm older, I'm gonna get him.
What?
Yeah, he's like got like a weird thing going on.
What the hell?
I don't know.
He has your
Could be a
picture of the
little crazy.
dartboard.
Yeah, he's got like my face on a dartboard.
Yeah,
you know.
just throwing it.
He's like, you should have finished on time.
Should never block me.
Yeah. He's like, my shadow account knows you.
Oh yeah, shadow accounts.
You didn't block my sisters. What the hell?
My sister's password.
So I feel like, whoa.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, being recognized must be crazy. I remember I got recognized one time back when I used to do YouTube a lot with my brother. I went to do some film for some event for some big YouTuber in Philly, and this kid was in line ready to meet him, and he looks at me, he's like, G&G TV. I'm like, oh, what's up? And he's like, oh my God, yo, I watch all your shit. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like a little moment. I was
You
like,
just
wow.
like pull out a pre-signed picture of yourself. Be like, I knew this would happen.
Everyone's looking at me, what the fuck?
You know, that actually happened to one of my buddies with Chuck Norris.
What?
Yeah,
no
allegedly
way.
Chuck Norris has like pre-signed pictures in his pocket. Like when he's going around, he's like, "Oh yeah, nice to meet you. Here you go." I swear to
I gotta
God.
go look for him. I want a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Signed
right.
And my
picture.
buddy's like a pretty well-known skateboarder, so he was like, "I was just saying what's up." Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I didn't want a picture. Yeah.
Whatever, dude. Like Texas Ranger.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever I see famous people on the street, I don't like to bother them. Just like, hey, they're like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, it's
Same.
because
Yeah, especially
They're
if
busy.
you ever like meet or know someone that's real famous,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh wait, you're just a dude.
yeah, just another
And you just
person.
want to be known as just like a dude.
You're like, I
Yeah.
get
Or
it. I
girl,
don't like
like-
to be bothered either. All my fans.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Really.
That's how it is
Yeah.
for sure. I bet. I'm sure that's just like you want like the right level of fame.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
I feel like UFC fame's the right level, unless you're Connor and you can't keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Like, cause your UFC famous, like people know you in what you're passionate about.
Mhm.
But you can go to the grocery store and like people probably for the most part like might not recognize you.
Yeah.
It might be different for you though, because like if you ever got to like that ultimate level where you were on TV a lot, like you're a pretty young lady that fights, you're probably recognizable more so than like a dude that fights. Like nobody's
Yeah.
picking out Stipe Miocic.
Yeah.
A line. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
true.
They're like, oh, you're a fighter? Are you sure?
Sure.
You look like an ogre, buddy. You know, like some people are like, because the people that are really recognizable are just like crazy looking dudes.
Sean O'Malley.
Sean,
Yeah.
Sugar,
Yeah.
Sugar Sean,
Something like that.
Jorge,
Yeah. most-
like
yeah.
people that like everybody
that
knows.
new kid that just fought Sean O'Malley with the green hair.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah, that's,
Moutinho, I think his last name was.
Moutinho, yeah. Did you see somebody made a screenshot of his Instagram before and after the fight?
Oh yeah, his
And
following.
before the fight, he had like 16,000 followers, and after the fight, he had
no,
like
you know,
300.
he had like 1,600. I don't even think he had that much. He had like
Yeah,
16.
it wasn't
maybe
Insta given.
1,600. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
yeah,
low, under
really low.
20,000.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, and then afterwards it was like 300 something.
I mean, the kid didn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
He stood in
good
there.
for him.
What's that say
Good
about
for
Sugar
him.
Sean though? He had soft hands. You can't even knock out that dude.
I guess.
Or
yeah.
that dude's face is rocks.
Yeah, that dude's face
It
probably.
was like
rocked.
Have you ever been
it was
punched?
it was like watching a Rocky movie. That's what it was.
It
like.
was.
like
It really
watching a
was.
Rocky movie.
Yeah,
Now that I think
so-
about
this
it.
is fucking awesome. Yeah.
that
Kid was taking hits.
I don't know about.
I don't know how much
Oh,
longer
that's
he's gonna be
smart.
fighting, but 'cause
Yeah, I don't
take
know.
hits like that.
Yeah,
mm.
like I mean, getting hit like that sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't
Yes,
know,
it
but you might know
It
more
does.
than any of us. But
Yeah, like your head feels just like it kind of feels like you're underwater for a little bit, especially if you
Yeah.
get real hit. Like then like the next day you're feeling like you feel like
Oh, you feel it. You
like
know
your
what?
neck feels it too.
Oh,
like
your
if depending on how you get.
legs feel it. I'll tell you what, the leg kicks.
Oh.
No joke. Because I mean, obviously you feel them in the fight, but it feels a lot different. Like moments after, and then it just keeps getting worse.
It's going to be
pretty
interesting
painful.
to see how the leg kick game develops over the next like couple years because everybody's real serious about the leg game
Oh
now.
yeah.
But everybody's seen the ramifications of having like weak shins.
yeah,
I think that people see like Muay Thai fighters and they don't realize that those dudes are like kicking banana trees.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's years and years of conditioning like
yeah,
that.
their shin is
Their
like
shins,
literally a
yes.
baseball bat. It's not
Yeah.
not the same shin.
it's not bone anymore.
Shin on shin's not equal in that math. Yeah. And then you like in training camp, you get like stress fractures and stuff leading
Oh,
up if you're
all we get,
dehydrated,
yeah,
right?
it's the worst.
Yeah.
Fighting. Who does that?
Especially calf kicks. Calf kicks are pretty.
What's your stand up move? Like what's your power move? If you were like a video game, what would your special move be?
It's really not that special. I have a really good right hand.
Mm.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is. I knocked
So you have a pretty good jab then, too.
I have a good jab, yeah. I have a good
'cause you
strong
have to-
jab, yeah. Ever since I've developed my jab a lot over the past few years working with our coach, Coach John Marquez. He's our striking coach. He's amazing. But yeah, he's really helped me take my striking game to the next level, and just with like little things.
Did you find that like when you got better with your jab, you had more power?
Yeah.
With your,
Yeah. Just like all like very small adjustments and just breaking myself of like, some bad habits and just really turning my punches over, like stepping in with the jab or like, turning your hips over. Just, all little things that made a world of difference. But he's taken me to the next level, but I've always had like heavy hands for my weight, for my size. Actually, my second pro fight, I hadn't fought in, this was leading up, after I had gone through everything I went through. So just very quick, my experience when I connected with Women Against Abuse, my situation with them being, I was in a situation with my ex-partner. It was like he was abusive. I was with him for like 6.5 years. And he was also a fighter. But anyway, found myself having to flee from him, and my daughter and I became homeless, and then we lived in a safe haven, a domestic violence safe haven for women and children at the time, with Women Against Abuse, and so that's sort of my experience with them. So while we were in the safe haven, that's when I really started building myself back up again. I forced myself to start training just to like...
Did you fight before that experience?
I did. I only had one pro fight before that experience. And just because of my relationship and all that had gone through, I just lost myself. I put myself on the back burner. Like anything that I wanted to do wasn't important anymore. It was just always, walking on eggshells and doing what I'm told and, which never was good enough. It was, rough.
Survival. You would kind of went into survival mode, and then you just got to figure it out at that point.
Yeah. So, really just, once I got out of it, and it was really just a chance for me to rebuild my life the way I wanted to, and to be who I wanted to be. And for my daughter as well, like she needed, a strong, parent and
a bad mama.
Yeah, a bad mama, yes. So, I had to be that for her as well. And so I, started training again, just threw myself into training. And so I ended up accepting a fight. It was actually a tournament in Brazil, a strawweight tournament. But I think there was like a lot of things going on. I don't think they were really that organized, and they kept pushing the fight back. And I couldn't keep putting myself through like camp. It was like I felt like forever in camp. Yeah. And I was just ready. So there was a point they were like, listen, we have to push the fight back again, but now, if you want to be, we'll let you out of your contract if you want out of your contract to go elsewhere. And so I chose that to be released, and it almost happened right away. King of the Cage called. They were looking for a replacement for a title fight. And this was like 5-0, top prospect in California. And that was that switch, that like, I don't give a fuck attitude I was telling you guys about before, that my mindset coach helped me get to. And that's what I said. I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I want that fight. Cause I just knew how ready I was. I was prepared. Like my mind was sharp. I was ready to go. And, I go there and I was just like a nobody. I hate to say this because I love King of the Cage, but it's just the politics of the fight game where, sometimes you bring people in to lose. Like you bring somebody in so that you're
a stepping stone for somebody else.
So it is what it is. So that was me. That was me. And so I knew it, and that just really drove me even more. It like motivated me even more. I'm like these
motherfuckers
don't know.
They don't know me.
They don't know.
Again, they have no idea. So I was just so excited to be there. And we went, let's see, like it was pretty even up into the 4th round. And I was just like telling myself in there, I'm like, all right, you have to do something, because if you don't finish her, they're going to give it to her. And I didn't come all that way to,
I didn't get on the plane to lose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just, but for me, it was more than that. It was just like everything that like led up to that moment. Like it was just everything to me. So I ended up just knocking her out like her. So it was like in slow motion. I noticed early on in the fight that she would like rear back before she would like lunge, you know what I mean? Like rear back her. She would just like show me everything she was going to do. And so I'm like, I was just sort of waiting for that opportunity, and it happened, but it was like in slow motion. It was the weirdest thing. So like she like reared back and I just like threw my right hand out there and I knocked her out cold. She was out for long enough for me to be afraid. I was a little scared for her. Yeah. But silence. It was silent. That's what I wanted, and I was so happy.
So when
like,
you hit her, and you make, can we pull that up?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, is there video of that?
Yeah,
it was, Jamie Colleen, King of the Cage.
Or I think it might just come up if you just put in my name, Jamie Colleen MMA. My opponent was Danielle Taylor.
It's Jamie with a K. What do you spell it?
With a C. Yeah, you're good.
No, he spelled it Jamie.
Oh, that was, I don't know.
Jamie with a J.
What was her? It was Danielle Taylor.
Yes.
Damn. Yeah. So when you hit her, did you instantly knew that you had made good contact?
Oh yeah, she was out, and Big John was reffing, and I remember in the rules meeting, he's like, "You don't stop until I stop you." So even though I knew she was out.
Would Danielle Taylor fight Weili Zhang?
Would she?
No, it said up there that she did.
I don't know.
Oh, we'll have to go back and look at that.
I don't know. Why is it not playing?
Because you have to click play.
I did already.
Maybe click it again.
Come on, Vimeo. Why are you doing me like this? Was that it?
Yeah.
Go back.
Yeah, you got to see like the full. I don't know what that is.
Damn.
Yeah. Those like last two punches weren't really that hard. I just felt like I had to like.
You don't have to justify yourself. It's,
Yeah, it's fine.
wow. Oh, I
my
totally
God.
see. She was fully cocked back when you hit her.
Yeah, and she was out before she hit. Like she just. Like.
Damn.
Pretty
Wow.
awesome.
Go to sleep.
But just to be able to do it in that fashion, like knowing everything I had gone to leading up to that was just
because
like
where you hit her, you like your arm still had like it looked like it still had full run to go.
Oh yeah.
God.
Damn. Right on the button.
Bam.
Yeah, it was perfect.
So you have to make a TikTok of this.
Yeah. I think I have.
Be like, watch this show.
Yeah.
We've got. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, like after that fight, like you felt like you kind of had like a release of like the pressure you were under. Kind of.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And from there, yeah, I just sort of went on this rampage. I was, TKOing everyone. And then Danielle and I had a rematch, and she TKO'd me.
Oh, no.
That's what it is. She's got the stoppage. But you know what? I think that's around that time that's when like my mind set started to shift, and those mental barriers started creeping up on me, and I didn't really have I was still with Daniel, but I was kind of like all over the board trying to find my place, I guess, in my
your community.
And so
did you
I
train?
didn't really have I don't think I had the right people around me for that fight.
The right team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you like, have you changed jiu-jitsu locations at all, or you've always been?
No, I've always been with Daniel. Yeah. I mean, I've cross-trained, obviously. Like, I've trained at, like, other schools, but I've never, like, switched. I've always...
Yeah.
I've always,
what other gyms have you trained at in the area?
Let's see. New York. So I cross-train a lot in New York at Henzo's in Manhattan. And then Ricardo Almeida School. Robbinsville, New Jersey. I used to train there a lot.
Shout out.
Give me a shotgun. We love Ricardo.
Yeah, he's great. And then, nowhere else though in Philly. I mean, if I'm in Philly, I'm with Daniel. You know what I mean? But if I decide to cross train, it'll be at an affiliate school or.
Yeah, definitely. I think the jiu-jitsu community is just cool. I mean, there's some gyms with some rules, about like stuff like that, like cross training and things like that. But for the most part, it's a very open, like,
Oh, totally.
like come share,
Very
come learn, like
welcoming.
community.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, especially if you travel a lot, like, and you're not a fighter or you're just a business person and you're into jiu-jitsu, you can like meet people in other cities and places purely because you train. You'd be like, oh, do you mind if I stop in for a day or two? And next thing you know, it's like, I mean, some places suck, but like some places you go and you meet like all these cool people and like everybody's cool with you. And next thing you have like all these new friends.
Yeah.
It's
like,
weird.
Yeah,
it's
come on,
weird.
Come train.
And it's all about
it's the best.
choking each other.
Yeah.
You all get together.
Respectfully.
It's like respect.
Yeah. It's the best.
Yeah, definitely. What have you ever done any like running or anything like that? Like marathons or
No, just, I mean, if you count all the miles in training camp, that's would equal several marathons. But, I used to love running until my knees couldn't really handle it. So I've like switched to just like stationary bikes and stuff like that to get my calories in. But
are you part of the Peloton cult?
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
Would you crash
I mean,
it?
I don't like have one myself. My friends in my neighborhood have one. I've used theirs before, but I don't know. I mean, I have a stationary bike at home that I like to use, and so I just sort of stick to that. But now that I have the green light to run, I'm only allowed to run certain amounts of time. So like I started at, you can run for 3 minutes. So that basically meant I can do a light jog to the end of my street and back. But every day, as long as my knee feels good enough, I can add 2 minutes on. So I kind of like fell off the wagon a little bit with my running. So like I think I'm right now, if I chose to run tonight, I'd be allowed to run for 13 minutes. Yeah. But,
it's more than enough time.
Yeah.
In your world.
Yeah.
And you've got a Peloton.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
So,
You're like 13 minutes? That sounds like a lot.
yeah. But to be honest,
No, it's a good time.
I took 2 weeks off. So my boyfriend gets like 2 weeks off, like for his birthday, every year. So
For work?
from work, yeah.
Okay.
I
thought maybe like he was like allowed to eat for 2 weeks or something.
no.
I was like,
Yeah,
was he a bodybuilder or something?
So he owns a cigar shop and pizzeria.
Oh,
in,
no
in
way.
the neighborhood. Yeah, so
What, combined together?
well, they're right next door to each other.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
That'd be like a weird
That'd be
vibe,
crazy,
right?
yeah.
Like, come in and get a stogie and some sausage pie.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Stogie and a pepperoni.
Yo. That's I'd like to see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he rents it with his brother. So they're the Capelli brothers
Okay.
company. Yeah. And so anyway, yeah, he took 2 weeks off. And so my daughter, she's actually visiting cousins. So I took the 2 weeks with him and we went down the shore and just relaxed and I unplugged. Like I sort of checked in like in my stories here and there, but it was nice to just really like be unplugged and be in the moment and just take time off. I realized like sometimes it's hard for me to do that. And I'm glad I made myself do it.
For sure.
Yeah. So
And I
it's
bet
nice.
like with him in the restaurant business, like we know, a decent amount of people in the restaurant business, and this past 2 years for them has been a lot of work.
It's been a lot.
Our buddy
Yes.
Nick owns a restaurant like right over in Ewing, and I think he actually told my wife that his girlfriend is like his salad person right now because like he has nobody.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like,
Well, you know what? They did it. So the pizzeria is just takeout. They just do slices. But they cut out, they used to do tons of food, like sandwich and hoagies and all the things. And then they cut all of that out and like cut down on, they don't do like any of the delivery services anymore. So they don't really need many employees anymore. So there's really only like usually, 3, maybe 4 people like on the line working, which is great for them because I feel like, they lost them. Obviously they went through like a whole thing, like when the pandemic happened and it was like a lot of,
what's going to happen?
Yeah, and a lot of like adjusting and trial and error and what's working, what's not, and but they managed to make it work. It works. They're doing better than they were pre-COVID with like a bigger menu and all the things. Like they're killing it now. It's awesome.
No, that's sometimes having just like a specialized
Yeah.
product draws more
Totally.
more
Yeah.
energy because like if you're focusing on that, it has to be good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when you
Amazing.
go to some of those deli operations, you go in there and you're like, Like literally, you have a whole grocery store on the menu right here. Like I literally could have anything.
It's
Yeah.
so stressful.
What are you, a Greek diner? Like,
Yeah,
It's
like, what's
really
this diner
stressful.
BS? Yeah.
it's like
But yeah,
Cheesecake
their pizza is
Factories.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cheesecake
That whole
Factory.
diner model, dude. I could never own a diner.
No, I couldn't either.
Damn.
I like going to them every now and then, but
Yeah, do you see the people working in diners? They're always unhappy because they have to
Yeah.
know the Bible of things to cook.
Yeah.
You get a 4-page diner menu? Get out of here.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good,
it's-
man.
Get out of
Way
here.
too
White wheat or rye? Get out of here.
Yeah.
White wheat or
Yeah,
rye.
dude, no, get out.
Yeah. Let me get the wheat,
You
bro.
know what I'm saying? It would be real cool if you could like open up a diner, but like only serve pie.
A
Be
diner.
like, yeah, let me get an omelet. Be like,
Nah,
all out.
all we got is pie.
We
bro.
got pie. Like, what kind of diner is this? It'd be like a good one.
We make good
pie
pie.
diner.
Good pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
I,
funny.
I'm so grateful that you came out and hung out with
Yeah,
us.
Totally.
And you brought us these cool tap out drinks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Do
They
you
were
get any
super good.
credit for us mentioning these?
I mean,
Tap out.
honestly, they gave me so. No, it's awesome. It's a great, like I said, a great recovery sports drink. Like
I compare it to what are those like those coconut water guy ones? You know what I'm saying? Like the fruity coconut water ones.
Mm.
But if you drink like a whole one of those, you're like, ugh.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
feel
What
kinda-
you feel just like, why do I feel terrible? And then you remember, you're like, it was the sugary
It was
all the
coconut
fake
water.
shit.
The thing
Yeah.
that's supposed to be hydrating
Yeah.
just
yeah.
tried to give me diabetes.
diabetes.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, big fan
Pretty
of these.
good.
You look
this is
into 'em.
awesome. I'm super grateful for you coming.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
I'm here for it.
I ordered
awesome.
like movable jujitsu mats,
Oh,
and we're gonna do jujitsu in the wilderness. So you might have to get in on this.
Yeah, if you're down.
Let me know.
We're literally
Oh, and I'll
calling it
bring my boyfriend too. You know what?
Rolls in the Wild.
He's the best. He just started
It is. It's,
Rolls in a Wild. That's
Yeah.
awesome. He's started training. Like he has a wrestling background. He wrestled in high school, but
I hate white belt wrestlers.
it's been a while. Yeah.
They're
But no,
terrible.
but
They
you
just
know
pull all these sneaky moves on you. You're like,
You're like,
what
wait,
is
what?
this? What are you doing? You'd be like, I wrestled in 8th grade. You'd be like,
Right.
dude,
Yeah. You just like put him to sleep. But no, he's been so supportive and so great, like throughout my whole rehab and recovery process. And he's like, when you're healthy enough to start training jiu-jitsu again, he's like, I would like to start training with you. And so, yeah, we've been, training together. It's been awesome. It's great.
how what's that like having like a inexperienced person in a relationship and like you
Yeah.
guys are training? Like, is it like
Well,
very like
It's a cool dynamic because I feel like I learned so much from him, and I feel like he can learn something from me, and I can teach him. And he's so open to all of it, and he doesn't have an ego. He just sort of like comes in with an open mind and is willing to just, really learn from anybody on the mat, which is awesome. And he's always asking like questions, but we do get our good rolls in. Like there's times where I'm like, no, like sometimes I'll teach him and coach him how to get out of certain things or how to avoid certain things. But then I'll just like put him in shit and make him work out of it. I'm like, he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't care. Like, figure it out. But
you like
you
put
know,
your mouth guard and you're like bad
Yeah.
mama clocking in?
yeah, right.
They'd be like, no, today just
clocking.
can we just have Jamie today?
Yeah.
Can we have Coach Jamie? Coach
Yeah.
Bad Mama's here.
It was bad.
No. They're like, shit. Come on. Came in on the wrong day. But so yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's so fun being on the mat. Yeah, with him. So.
Yeah, rolls in a while, definitely. Gotta
We're
make that
definitely
happen.
doing it.
He's so
The
fun.
mats are coming.
Yeah.
So
Gotta-
fun.
Gotta make it
Mats are
happen.
coming. I was
Yeah.
gonna do like a logo on them, but then I was like, ninjas wouldn't have logos on
Yeah,
them.
no,
there's
ninjas.
We're doing
no-
black mats in
No.
the wilderness,
I'm-
and if a bear walks up into us, we'll roll. Like we're just gonna keep going.
The bear's just gonna like sit there with
You
its
know what I'm
snacks,
saying? What
like
if we had like just
watching.
like all the
This is
cameras set
awesome.
up and everything, and just like me and Silas
Yeah.
just out there in the middle of the wilderness, and you're just like, dude, there's a bear behind you guys. Be like, I'm not stopping.
The bear's just like spectating.
Gotta get out of this guard. I'm not watching.
Yeah.
it.
I'm a big fan of like jujitsu and like the wilderness or in nature, I should say. Daniel does a couple of I don't even know what you call them.
Retreat kind of
Yeah,
things.
retreat kind of things. Yeah, I think they did one in Puerto Rico recently. where they do like jujitsu. There's like a structure like outside, like overlooking the ocean. They're like doing jujitsu out there on the beach, and
see this, dude.
they get to like.
Dude, people are gonna recognize
I need to do
this.
that one year. I have to do it one year.
No, that's
It's amazing.
Maybe we'll do
I
it.
love jiu-jitsu in nature of any sort is pretty awesome.
We were also thinking about just doing it in like other places, like just setting up in the food court and just seeing how many rolls we could get in.
Oh yeah, it'd be sweet.
You know what I'm saying? Like how many people don't know what jiu-jitsu is about? They'll know after that.
Yeah.
Dude, I love Park.
You know, do it like Love Park. All the skaters just like ollieing over my head. I'm like,
It'd be fun.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's awesome. So, dude, let us know if there's anything we can do for you, or you know, whatever the 8 million things you're into.
Yeah.
So,
No,
and
for
then
sure.
you know, if you ever get super famous, we'll have to have you back on again.
Yeah.
Only if I get super famous. Okay.
Yeah, that's criteria. Here's your goal. You've been given your assignment.
Yeah, right.
Go out and get famous.
All right. Shit. Okay.
Let us live in your light.
I got this. I got this.
No,
No,
yeah, so.
but no, thank you so much for having
No,
me.
definitely,
It's been
for sure. It's
awesome.
been great.
It was definitely worth the drive. I'm like driving. I'm like, this better be good.
Oh. Thank
Come
God.
on,
I bet. Yeah,
That's why I
I would have
said,
been the same.
thanks for coming out. Hope I don't fuck this up for you.
Yeah.
She goes back
That was
home and she's
great.
like, this was
The worst thing I've ever done.
her,
Blocks us.
her
Best
daughter
thing ever.
/ manager. It was like,
I'll sit at my dartboard.
Yeah. Now there's 2 people with dartboards
Yeah.
with face on it.
oh, there's probably more than 2.
Damn it. Yeah,
If
there might
there's 2,
be.
there's probably 10.
Yeah. Always X5.
That's awesome. So, we know you love this episode. I told you were gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She fights people for a living. Like,
Yeah,
come on
it's
now.
like,
So
amazing.
definitely subscribe. Go and give her a follow. Just make sure you know keep in touch with her, or just doing cool stuff. So
yeah, for sure.
definitely.
Yeah, where can they find you?
I'm primarily on Instagram, so
Yeah.
Bad Mama, Jamie Colleen. So you can find me there, and I'm easing back in. Like I said, I took the 2 weeks off, so I was like almost completely unplugged. I mean, I got a lot of unfollows. By the way, thanks guys. I was just not active at all, but
You didn't
it
need
is
them
what it
anyway.
is. You know, I
she didn't
needed
respond to me.
that.
Unfollow.
Screw it. You didn't need them anyway.
She didn't hurt
All
me.
right. So,
That's so
but yeah,
great.
I'm like sort of easing myself back into just.
But you're also really busy,
more
so
active,
if
yeah.
you don't respond back right away, just assume she's helping people.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
saving the world, guys.
Yeah, shelter,
Yeah.
saving the world one family at a time. So,
Yeah.
like, subscribe, follow,
Yes.
Comment, share. Tell your
comment,
mom.
share, do the thing, tell your mom.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Enjoy the show. Thanks for listening.